Yeah, I mean that's the depressing thing is that like
There's like a bunch of
we can
evidence.
prove it because we fucking clutter the shit out of it, you know? Monday came quick. I was like, I think it was just a short weekend for me. We had like the long weekend the week before.
That's what
And then
it
I'm like, man, it's
was.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what happened. That explains it. It was not a 4-day weekend.
I'm
Whoops.
actually considering manufacturing a 4-day weekend for myself this weekend. Just because I just have so many vacation days saved up. Because nobody's going anywhere right now, you know?
I
Hit the limit.
I support. I mean, every weekend should be a 4-day weekend. 3-day work
It
week's
is
all I
true.
need. That's all I
Yeah.
need.
30-day work week.
30-day. Oh, that's a long week.
30-hour work week.
Oh yeah, that's. I'd be very into that.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
like.
me too.
I don't do more work than that during the week. Like, I absolutely like goof around for 2 hours of every workday, but like I can't like write that on a time card or like
Yeah.
I would just if I stopped work 2 hours earlier I'd be happy, but I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Life is hard.
Sweet. Why don't we just get into it?
All right, hit me with the programming view. Oh, look at that sweet tank.
Yeah, it's a sweet tank, sweet dash. Do you want to do multiplayer dash first, or should we fix the camera?
Let's fix the camera. I'm kind of curious what your thought is on that. I assume it's gonna be some easing functions, some rubber banding.
Some rubber banding, exactly. So there are lots of different ways to control the position of the camera relative to the player. Right now, we have it in lockstep, and it feels a little bit jarring. I'm not sure if it's visible on stream or through Zoom, but you felt it last time, right?
It's pretty even on the stream. It looks like it's kind of punching back and forth. Yeah, it's not fast, or rather, it is
Yeah.
fast. It's not smooth.
So I'm trying to think of all the different math. Like, I think one of the things we could do is just stick it. You're right that it's like an ease curve. So basically, what you do is you basically say, well, where I want to go is here, where the player is. Where I currently am is here, and there's some function of like either how long I haven't been on the player versus or how far I am from the player that controls the speed of the camera, right? The thing that people always reach for first is the dampened spring. Which you can imagine as sort of this type of thing. Imagine if I like there's a weight at the end of a spring and I pull on the end of the spring. The metaphor is that the pulling of the spring is like the player moving, and then the spring itself is, oh sorry, the weight at the other end of the spring is where the camera is. So the camera has some degree of inertia, and I think it's dampened because of friction or something like that. Did you ever do physics class in school?
I mean, I did, but the football teacher taught it. It was not the most enlightening class in my high school experience.
Okay, what about so in college you didn't take mechanics or
I didn't
anything
do
like
it.
that?
No, I avoided all
Okay.
that in college somehow.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
They have all these like bullshit scenarios where it's kind of like you have a spring that's attached to the wall horizontally and a block attached to the spring, and there's like a coefficient of friction between the block and the ground surface. And then if you pull the block back with some displacement, like what is the position of the block after a certain amount of time, or something like that, right? Like they have all these
Extremely
like
common
highly
scenario.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe if you're in like a Saw movie.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. But it turns out that kind of thing has some applicability to camera control. The other thing, and I wish I'd done some iota of research before this. I actually kind of just forgot about the camera until I started dashing around. I'm like, oh, I want to fix the camera.
There you
So
go. That's
these are all kind of things that are kind of coming out.
we do it live here.
Yeah, RLC circuits. There's a thing. So there's a whole kind of body of applied mathematics called control systems, and it's about like how you make sure that like continuously moving complex systems stay within certain constraints. And it often comes into play when you're trying to like, oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of industrial applications, but what I actually think of is like stabilizing a drone or something like that, right? You're like flying a drone and you have to make sure that like everything kind of like stays within certain limits. And even if you want to like if you want to balance the drone, you have to make sure you don't like balance it too quickly or you'll jerk things around. Like that's what control theory is. So there's another thing that I wish I could remember what the name of it was. This is not giving me what I want. This is all radio. That's even worse. What I want is it a low pass RC filter control system? Now, how all these concepts actually relate to physical motion is a little bit beyond me. But like, this is a diagram of a circuit. It seems like mumbo jumbo to me. Like I never really kind of understood. Like
I cannot read circuit diagrams. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. But essentially, you have people coming out of engineering school who write camera control code, and they write something that looks a little bit like this to basically model kind of what we're talking about. If we made a harmonic oscillator, like a spring-based kind of thing, we modeled a spring. We can have situations where, like, let's say the target, what are we going to call the thing that we're following? The subject? I don't know, like what the subject of the camera.
Yeah.
We're sort of moving towards it, and if it's on a spring and you model it faithfully as a spring, it is possible to overshoot the target, and then come back and then overshoot it again. And then that's actually what a spring does, right? It kind of just like wobbles around its target. So you have to kind of like tune the parameters in such a way that you don't wobble too much. Ideally, you don't overshoot at all. But even if you do overshoot, you just overshoot maybe once or twice. And that's the disadvantage of modeling the spring. The spring is like relatively simple to implement, but then gets a little bit, maybe the behavior of it is not as great. So instead they implement this freaking mumbo jumbo that like also at some level acts as like a low pass filter. Low pass filter means you allow low frequencies through while filtering out high frequencies. And maybe filtering out high frequencies also includes filtering out like weird oscillations, that sort of thing. I wish I could remember what the name of this controller is, because the actual code looks kind of simple. No, this looks like optical filters, right?
Damn, this is one of the harder Googles I've seen.
I'm trying, man. What was the name of the controller? Motion control. So field automation. Control theory. PID controller. That's what it was. Yes.
Whoa.
A proportional integral derivative controller. It's a control loop mechanism employing feedback that is widely used in industrial control systems. And obviously, this is like a massive topic, right?
I was gonna say, I see why we tried all those other things and why that diagram was making you think about that. Because damn.
Yes. PID controller for camera game. So this person's clearly excited about it. Oh, he did something with a tank. Isn't that impressive?
It's a classic.
Yes. And I wonder what these videos are going to show us. that is basically
It's how I feel.
it is right there. That's Dominic DeGrati right there. Ah!
Wow. Okay.
So
It's all pretty cool.
it's. I mean, these are nice graphs, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if there's any kind of it's kind of about minimizing error. If you think about error over time, that's why they call it there's like an integral here. They're just basically like, I think the general idea behind this is that like you basically consider the error of the system, like how far the camera is from where it's supposed to be. And essentially, as that error accumulates, you actually want to move the camera more quickly towards where it's supposed to go. And essentially, it's a function of how far you are from where you're supposed to be and how long you've sort of like a weighted sum of like how long and how far you've been off of where you're supposed to be over a certain period of time.
Okay.
And basically, your speed is a function of that. So I think for our purposes, we should try starting with not even a harmonic oscillator. We could even start with a spline, and see how that feels. We experimented with splines a little bit, or at least smooth step in our shaders, ironically, right? Because we needed to do anti-alias blending, and there's all this stuff, and neither of us really completely understood the math there. We kind of just chucked it in there. Do they still have those like spline websites? Ah, yes. It's kind of a cool website.
I like these. Yeah.
So basically, you can kind of see how you can. These websites allow you to sort of like feel the motion, just this little dot going upwards, right?
Yep.
And you can imagine that the camera could kind of work this way too, right? Right.
Yeah.
It's sort of like something like this starts off slow, speeds up, and then slows down towards this target. This is kind of like how we want the camera to feel a little bit, right?
And are you thinking
Or maybe something like a quad.
You think this would apply to even normal motion, not just dashing? Like we always want the camera to sort of like be chasing the player?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. And what's tricky about the spline is the spline assumes like your endpoint is fixed, right? And if the character's moving around and you're trying to follow it, it's a little bit unclear like where along the ease curve you actually are, right? Because if the character is like moving, essentially like this point up here is constantly moving up, and it's like where in the spline curve are you actually?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's sort of like your distance along the curve is a function of your distance from the player, or like maybe not distance, but like how far off you are from target, right? Is sort of where you are on moving on that. That actually makes some intuitive amount of sense. That's cool.
Right. But I think if we had like a static player, then this would make sense. But I don't actually think that this is easier. Like writing these things, like ease curves, is actually relatively easy. An ease curve function always looks like something like ease, not elastic beanstalk. I have the AWS SDK here as a dev dependency for uploading for the whole development server stuff.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Usually you pass in a number called t, and then you get a number that comes out, right? And t is how far you are from. It's basically a value from 0 to 1. And it's basically how far you are from where from where you need to be in the linear scale.
Mm-hmm.
And you can think of it in terms of like how far along the x-axis you are here. And the result is the corresponding y value for that particular ease curve. That's usually how you write these ease functions. And these are nice. Like they have these like this JavaScript library, because you can imagine like doing all kinds of like front end animations in a web page using these ease curves, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like I have used many of these throughout my career.
Right. I think Flash used to have a bunch of these for doing transitions between colors, and if you've ever done like music recording, you can do your fade in and fade out with an ease curve.
And some of these might be built in. Yeah. A lot of these are built in, actually.
Oh, really?
JavaScript has, yeah.
Oh, CSS has it.
CSS has it.
Yes.
That's a different problem. Yep. That doesn't
Yeah.
solve it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bezier is like a kind of complex example of these things, right? A lot of these are just like, this is just like x squared, right?
Yep.
With some, you can do x squared minus x, or, like you can do all kinds of interesting functions with it. I think we should try start with a spring and see where that takes us.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Is this going to be tractable for us? The balance of forces, Newton's second law for dampened harmonic oscillators, is then x is basically your distance, dx dt is your velocity, d squared x over dt squared is your acceleration. Wait, this is just the force that's on it.
Yep.
So what is this? We have to think in physics.
That's what we get for having a physics engine.
Okay, let's say at some moment the player moves away from the camera, right? And let's actually just say this is instantaneously the case. Like somehow the player just like moves instantaneously, like 100 pixels away from the camera. And in fact, that's actually how it's going to be simulated, right? Because we simulate the player first, and so it's going to appear to have like instantaneously moved away from the camera. So there is going to be some force exerted on the camera, right? Because there's a spring pulling the camera towards the player, right?
Gotcha. Okay. So, do we need
and that's what's going to like basically accelerate the camera towards the player. But that acceleration is not constant. That acceleration is a function of how far the player is from the camera, right? The closer the player is to the camera, the less acceleration that you have, right? But the more velocity you're going to have. So we can just try doing it right now, right? If we just modeled this with straight physics, right? And we just started adding some stuff to it. The right camera? This looks like not the right camera.
That is the Render Choi camera.
Yes, it is.
Boy, we have a lot of cameras now.
We got a lot of cameras. The 2D camera we're not using too much. We got a target here. What's the target do? Oh, this is what we're pointing at. Okay. So I think we're interested in like adding acceleration and velocity. And
Interesting. Yeah.
your velocity is a function of your previous frame's velocity and your current frame acceleration. And your position is a function of your previous frame's position and your previous velocity or your current velocity. And your acceleration is a function of essentially how far you are from the player. Does that kind of gel together?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a 3D camera, so it's a little bit interesting. We set the position here. Position the 3D camera at a fixed offset from the player and point the camera directly at the player. Currently, the camera is just like, it follows the player lockstep. But I think what we really want is to actually not follow the player, but follow a point that's the player. Imagine that like the player is dragging a mass behind it, right? Like imagine that this box here, the targeting box, the tank is actually dragging it. And then when I stop, it catches up with the tank. Right. I think it's the box that the camera is actually going to be pointing at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
how do we model that, though?
how do we model that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it. So I don't actually want to add this to the camera. I think I want a different thing.
Right, because actually the camera doesn't need to do a thing if we can just give it a different thing to point at.
Exactly. So for the time being, well, like we can just create another thing, right? Like, what do we call it? The camera target?
Yeah.
Or camera controller? And where's the camera? Right here. I'm writing JavaScript all day and I still can't write it. We have a position. And we have the derivative of that position over time. And we have the derivative of that velocity over time. And we're going to just go ahead and set these things up, right? I can hear the train by your house. It's so cool. Is that Bart?
No, I think that's the Amtrak. This window has like a direct line of sight to the Emeryville train tracks.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I feel like you could get that too, but you might be on the wrong side of the building. Okay, those three.
Okay. So one of the things that we're going to want to be able to do is to set the target, which is not the same as the position.
Correct.
Right.
Right, because this is always moving towards the target.
And I actually wonder if we should be keeping track of the target as well, right? Okay. And basically, we're going to call this every frame, right? And, well, why don't I do something that I rarely ever do, which is sort of build up the implementation along with the use case. Do we set the camera? We sync camera to player. I think this is fine for now.
Okay.
And then where do we update the camera? Oh, we just call this every single frame.
Right, I think that's it. Huh.
Okay, so sync camera to player, what we're actually going to be doing is we are going to call this dot camera controller dot set target with that target position. Then we are going to update this with some change in time. And then we're going to want to be able to actually get the position. And this is basically what the camera is going to be, right?
I mean,
Camera's position.
should pause just be a public variable in this?
Yeah, I don't want to be able to write to it.
Okay, yeah, totally. But pause is actually like our final value here.
That's right. Yeah, pause is what we're really trying to get, right? So the idea here is that zoom we can kind of keep where it is, and then camera we're going to set the position to not to the target position. There. That is basically the idea. And this is not going to basically work because I think the camera is, well, driving around, you can kind of see the red line moving.
Yeah, I can see you doing it. That's funny.
Right. But because the position of the camera is currently just being clamped, I think, or it's just like at the origin right now. We're not updating it at all, right? We actually need to do something to update here. So the easiest thing we could do is we could copy the target position into the current position, right, of the camera controller.
Right, and that should be if we call update, that should be exactly what we had before. I think we're calling update.
Oh, we have to call update.
Yeah.
Yes. Do we get DT in this function? Well, we should.
I think we can, yeah. Because this should be inside update. Yeah.
And then I don't really know what we call here. We might have to figure out something different. I don't think we'd necessarily call sync camera to player here. But this actually should produce no change, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. But instead, we want to act as if the position here is actually lagging behind the target by some amount, right? So what is the formula for position in physics? I think it's your next position equals your previous position plus your velocity times time plus 1 plus half of your acceleration times time squared. Does that formula look vaguely familiar to you?
It does. I was just looking that up.
Yeah. So oftentimes what video games do is they kind of just cheat this, and they just say that your position 0 is equal to, what they do is they say your velocity 1 equals velocity 0 plus acceleration 0 times dt. And then your position 1 is equal to your position 0 plus velocity 1 times dt.
Ah, cute. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's simpler, but it doesn't represent the fact that, like, as you were accelerating over that gap of time, you weren't at velocity 1
right.
the entire time, which is why people tend to use this formula. And this one has the fancy name Euler integration. We might have talked a little bit about this when we did Breakout, right? Although we didn't have acceleration at all, right?
No, I think we avoided it for that. Maybe for this exact reason. We weren't feeling ready for physics yet.
I think didn't the paddle have some kind of deceleration of some kind? It had some friction.
Ooh, it did at the end. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's try the simpler one first, and if we want, we can kind of upgrade to the correct one.
Cool.
So to speak. Yeah. So let's say, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I guess I was just thinking through. So we're actually gonna. Is this going to have the rubber band effect basically because the velocity will not necessarily be enough to catch up with the tank, or the acceleration won't be enough to? Well, I guess since it has to accelerate, it'll never be on the tank immediately.
Yes.
That's great.
So our acceleration is basically our force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's... and we want it to be some function of the distance between the target position and the current position, right? So I'm just going to start throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. How's that sound?
I love it.
Okay. So let's say that we want to multiply, we want the distance, right? Is there a distance? Yes.
Nice. Cool.
Between,
target and pause.
yes, correct. And then we're going to multiply that by some constant, and that's going to be at our acceleration. And let's try 0. Let's try half first. Let's just try 1 and see what happens.
Fair. Yeah, because this maybe should just work.
Yeah. What? Oh. We want to scale... Oh, I see. We want to do vec3 dot subtract, and ACC is just a temporary right now. This dot target.
Mm-hmm. So wait, the one.
Wait, no, the scale doesn't make sense.
Well, I think you want to multiply the distance. You want to multiply 26 by 27 there.
Oh, so I just get rid of this.
Yeah, basically. You could put ×1 if you want to remind us that we're gonna tune that number, but yeah. The no scale here, because that is distance is a single number.
Oh, yeah. So we're just probably needs to be much smaller. I think.
Yeah.
And do we need to normalize this?
That's a good question. If we normalize the distance between, I don't know.
I think we kind of do need to normalize it, right? Because basically we want to say that the acceleration is going to be going in some direction, which is this, normalized. and it's going to be a function of how far you are, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is like this normalized, like you're basically doing like v1 minus v0. And if you normalize it, you're dividing it by the magnitude of, and this is, what's the length? It's v1 minus v0 squared, right? Right.
Oh boy. If we, let's see. Oh crud. Wait. Oh, v1. Why isn't v1 minus v0 the length, or is that still a vec3?
Right. Let's say our vector goes from here to here, right? The length of that is this squared times
Okay.
these squared.
Yep.
No, wait. These two things squared, and the square root of that, right?
Yeah.
But that is also the same thing as the distance, right? So if we divide this by the distance, and then we multiply by the distance again, is our acceleration simply then a scale over this? Right. Can we go back to this? Sorry, I gotta get rid of some of this.
Why is that not right? Oh, yeah. Scale.
The reason why, what I was saying is that like basically our acceleration is linearly proportional to how far away you are from where you're supposed to be. But our acceleration also has a direction, right?
Yep.
And the direction is also from the current position to the target, right? Now, if you wanted to normalize this, you'd be dividing each element of this vector by the length of the vector. But then we're going to multiply by the length of the vector again because the force is proportional to that distance. So we come back to the idea that this is some coefficient right here. Yeah, so I think this is right. So our velocity then is going to be vec3 dot add this dot velocity of the previous velocity and our acceleration. And then our position, but it's going to be scaled by I think we can do just this dot vel again. It's going to be scaled by dt, right? And then our position is going to look like this as well. We're going to have this dot position, this dot velocity.
What's the scale doing on that second add line?
This one? It's basically taking our velocity and multiplying it by dt. But I can't override this dot position here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what I do here.
Do we need a second add inside of there, maybe?
I'm just going to call this temp. You know what? I'm actually going to
Yeah, if we're gonna start tossing new ones in there, let's just do that. That's great.
All right, this is
Can we write out maybe which part of the equation we're doing for each of these lines? I'm starting to get lost, but only because of all the.
it's because of the API. Yeah,
It's because of the API. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is acceleration equals some function of essentially the target minus the current position. Or let's actually just call it k constant times that, right? And then our velocity is equal to our previous velocity plus our acceleration times dt. And our new position is our old position plus the velocity times dt. Okay, so let's actually go through let's go through each line. Although
Wait, we're not actually setting at the very end of this. Is we just copy?
Yeah, we do set it.
We set
I
the
wonder
target
if
though. Yeah,
wonder if we
it's not gonna
way down.
change it because we're copying target into pause. We need to.
Oh yes, we don't need to do this. This
Yeah.
last line's gone, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so initialization matters. We need to figure out a way to.
So I think at 0.001, it is starting somewhere and slowly creeping towards the player.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, no, I'm not so sure.
I think we need to set an initial position here. And maybe let's figure out like when do we call sync? We call it during start play. So we almost need like an initialize function that says,
it's like you want to
here's your
sync it,
position.
You want
Right.
to sync it with don't accelerate this position. This is just
Reset. And we need to find the player's position, right? It's basically this, right?
Yep.
And we are translating a 2D coordinate into a 3D coordinate here,
Yep.
right? And that's basically what our math is doing here. This dot player number. It doesn't know if the player number is defined. These should probably all be like throws, right? It should probably be like, it should be an error if you don't have a player at this point.
Truth.
But for now, we'll fix that.
Nice. Wait, this is in sync camera to player. Do we? Oh, I see. We just have to get player pause function now. Nice. Love it.
Oh, and we weren't pressing DT in there. That's probably why it was failing.
Oh yeah, if it just always moved by 0. Yep.
Yes, and the camera controller needs a reset function. where we
So really, it probably doesn't need an initialization then. If you just take that line out of the constructor.
yes, I agree. This dot pause, pause.
Yep.
And then I think the velocity is just zeroed out.
Yep.
And the target is the same as the position, right?
Yes. Right. Okay. So it just, yeah, this sets us to as if we'd finished motion to the player. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then what you were saying is that we expect this to be initialized, so this should just be vec3.create, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And let me go ahead and sort that. And then client sim just needs to do this dot camera controller. Let's get the player position.
Nice. Yep. Camera controller dot reset player pause. Yeah.
Set. And no problems.
That's how you know it works. I don't believe we should be on a magenta screen right now.
I don't think so either. Cannot read property 0 of undefined. Camera controller. Line 9.
That's not even there anymore. I disagree, Chrome. Okay.
Okay, so now it's just... Now it's just not following at all. Which is okay.
We're calling update, right? And we're calling set target?
Yeah. Sync camera to player.
Okay.
Setting the target, we're updating. We're getting the camera position. And
That looks reasonable.
yes. Yeah, so this position is where the camera is, and then we're telling the camera to point at that position, which is going to be lagging behind.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just lagging. It's lagging fully behind. Is there... We do an add, and we add the velocity. So, line 29, there's no way that's not just adding 0.
You're correct. I think
Because we don't have a concept of acceleration here. Like, we don't have a constant force that it gets. It should just be like...
I actually didn't put acceleration there. It was wrong. Yeah.
Oh, I see, because that just should have been acceleration. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's going to spring back, right?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Right, it's going to get closer and closer. Actually, you know what? This might actually be this because we wrote the formula the way we did. I think it's adding energy every single time we oscillate. So we might actually be getting farther and farther and farther. But we can kind of vaguely get close.
Holy shit.
This is fun, right?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a drunk cam here. Holy
Yeah.
shit, man.
Okay. So we are adding energy now, which is not great. So the dampening this is a damped harmonic oscillator, so we want to simulate some amount of friction. And what is the formula for friction? It is proportional to velocity, is it not?
Is it just the coefficient of friction times the force?
Oh, it's times the normal force. It's not times
Times the normal force. Gotcha.
So is the norm like yes, the friction force is I mean it's basically going to be constant, right? So all this would constitute is some negative value that we subtract from the acceleration every single time, right? What does the harmonic oscillator say? Force is some proportion of the distance minus some multiple of the velocity. And where that's different is our acceleration is just that first term, right? So maybe we need to subtract off also some proportion of the velocity.
Interesting.
And force, like this says F, but that's our acceleration,
Yeah.
right? So we need to subtract off some multiple of our velocity.
What are our units here?
It's pixels per second.
We're doing pixels. Okay, pixels per second.
Or rather, no, like it's
Pixels.
grid units per second.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Just so we are matching Wikipedia here.
Ooh,
right?
now we're talking. Yep.
And what we really want is our acceleration is some constant times t minus p, which is x. And then I don't know what the sign is. The velocity is going to be subtracted off the force. I'm not sure what the signs here are, right? But where they're adding or subtracting, something like that, right? Okay, so let's do that. What's c times v0?
Do we have a scale
Of v0, which is this dot velocity,
C.
times c, right? And then we're either adding or subtracting that from.
I guess let's try subtracting or add.
Yeah. That's this whole thing, and this can become spec 3.create, right? Just simplify the math.
Okay. Yep.
All right, let's see what that is. All right, we need to subtract.
It's subtract. Oh. But that was great. Cute.
Okay, that's settled.
Ooh. The rubber band is very strange.
And it's funny because like with this rubber banding effect, your cursor kind of stays in the same spot. So it actually affects your experience of gameplay, like what you're aiming at as well.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So if we, okay, so that accelerate faster. If we turn up C to like -2, will that snap us in faster? Yeah. Okay.
This seems reasonable, right? It seems almost reasonable.
Yeah.
Certainly more reasonable than it was before.
Yeah, I feel like both of them could probably be tuned up a little bit, like sort of accelerate faster so you can't run away from the camera, and slow it down faster too. Now what happens if you dash?
Yeah, you don't get an initial jolt.
That's good. It's nice actually because it makes the dash much more
Visible, right?
Yeah, it looks like a lot more is happening.
It's almost, you can tell that the dash is too far now, right?
Uh-huh.
Whereas before we were like, oh, the dash isn't far enough because we couldn't see it. Right.
Well, that is sick.
I want to almost turn this up
Yep.
to 5. Yeah, the higher the acceleration, the more the overshoot, right?
But if the friction matches it, it seems to compensate pretty well. Huh. How interesting. I see. It's actually slowing it down too.
It actually slows it down. Yeah.
Fair.
Is this it's basically is this a ratio that we're interested in?
It kind of feels like it.
The higher the acceleration, the more quickly we snap. But if the velocity isn't high enough, we bounce. Right. So if I change this to 6, there's a tiny bit of a bounce
Got a little
there.
bounce, yeah. I would love. What could we not overshoot? How would that work? I guess we've simulated the spring, so this is as expected.
Yeah, if we cannot overshoot, and in fact, that's probably what we want eventually. So we don't want any overshooting. But we kind of want it more responsive than this, right? Is that what you're feeling?
It feels pretty dang slow. That looks,
It's a tiny bit of bounce there.
yeah, and give it a dash. I feel like that catches up in a really pleasant way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tiny bit of bounce. What if I... That's not terrible. I mean, I'd want to tune it more, but it's kind of...
But that dash is way too far now.
Should we turn the dash down?
Yeah, didn't even realize how, tank mover? Tank mover.
Dash time to live?
So TTL is the how long between
Dash
dashes.
duration.
Yeah.
So this is number of frames.
That's number of frames, yeah.
So turn it down by 25%.
That looks more reasonable. And yeah, I think the TTL is probably too high as well right now.
Oh, you think it's just dashing for too long, or...
No, the fact that you can dash too frequently.
Oh. Do we need to turn this up then?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just holding it down.
Neat.
Okay, so maybe this can be called dash cooldown.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what it's supposed to be, yeah.
Okay, yes. Well, we now have a dampened harmonic spring. I feel like it doesn't attach closely enough still, right? It's still a little bit too much lag still. What if we...
Yeah, is there like, could we set even that, or could we put like a maximum on the distance such that like, if it gets more than 5 away, it starts sticking? That might feel weird. I guess not letting physics do its work will be the thing that feels awkward.
The other thing we can do is give it an initial velocity if...
Oh, yeah. The initial velocity could be like half of tank velocity and it would probably still feel great. Because it'll always be behind the tank.
Okay, I'm going to leave it like this for now.
Yeah.
Tank mover, what was here? Oops. Last hash frame.
Ah. It's my stupid ID, wasn't doing that.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, whoa. It's like I'm dashing every time.
Every time you move? Oh no. Oh, I think that should be message.dash is truthy. I don't know if we have that. You could do bang bang message dash equals true.
Oh, this should have been fine. Why is it complaining?
It's because it's not a... Oh, it is Boolean. Huh.
Unexpected any value in conditional.
Now, wait a minute. You hovered over it, and it's clearly said Boolean.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Safe bet.
Sometimes I just like restarting VS Code because it makes me feel good.
Sometimes VS Code needs the swift kick in the pants.
It does, yeah. I think that did it.
Bizarre. Okay, yeah.
Oh, no, wait. It still hasn't booted yet. Yeah? Are you good with it? Are you good? My keyboard...
Oh. Did you reboot your keyboard in the process as well?
I don't know.
It's waiting for server. Yeah.
Oh, of course, because I killed the thing.
VS Code.
Yeah, I killed the thing.
Yep.
All right, everything's starting to make sense. We probably need to make net pause look a little bit more dramatic.
Nice. And dashing still works. Phew. Sweet.
I've been thinking we need to figure out the debug draw situation because I don't want everything debug drawing. In fact, there's probably some things I don't really care about anymore. But I'm not sure if I want to get rid of it. I don't care about the hitboxes, right?
Nope.
And they're being drawn.
Same.
For now, I'll just comment them out.
Is it the hitbox system that we don't have a hitbox system?
It's the attack system. And I think the damageable system.
Do you want to be able to like turn off a tag of debug draws essentially? A category?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
that makes sense.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Right, and it'd be nice if we had some control over what we were seeing as well. Hey, wait a minute.
Is it damage? Did I have multiple of these?
Oh, we're just drawing them twice? That's...
No.
Oh, that's the damager, yeah.
This is a whole debug draw right here.
There you go. Yep.
All right, that's cleaned it up quite a bit, right?
That's nicer.
Yeah. sometimes in games there'll be like an interactive debug menu that we can flip things on and off. It's probably a lot we could do with JavaScript console as well, like starting to reveal some things.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, this isn't horrible, man. This is workable.
Yeah, it seems like the camera is sort of like...
And if I continue to dash away from the camera...
I think it's nice that it seems like you can't actually...
Cooldown's too high now. I am just... What is this?
It's all in the gameplay tuning.
Princess in the Pea? What's your favorite misogynistic fable?
Oh, Princess in the Pea is a pretty good one.
Yeah, Goldilocks. Also hard to please.
Was Goldilocks misogynistic? She just wanted a good fucking bed, man.
Yeah, it's true.
The bears had low standards.
It is hard to dash, I'm going to say, with one hand. Then again, I'm used to playing Hades on a controller, right?
I mean, maybe dash should be a like right click or something. Oh, we had something else for that.
We had the builder on the right click, but it would be interesting.
Yeah. There are a lot of mechanics going on in here.
I'm going to do some multiplayer.
Sweet. Let me refill my water and take like a 30-second bio break.
Okay, sounds good.
BRB.
Take your time. Meanwhile, I'll just talk at the stream, be entertaining. I'm actually not going to be entertaining. It's just awkward. But perhaps no less awkward than me just sitting in front of the camera not saying anything. But that's what we're going to do.
And I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem. Did you get Did you get M1 homebrew yet?
No, I tried to switch over to it. I immediately gave up. It was just like a disaster from the get-go.
Okay.
Don't switch.
All right. Well, I'm getting Ngrok Rosetta version right now.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like maybe if I was willing to nuke everything, but it started off with like installing it, like put a second homebrew on my system, and the second homebrew like overrode the Rosetta homebrew, but also depended on it. It was really weird.
Ugh.
Oh, dude, this video today was
Have
so good.
You
it was
seen this shit?
Yeah, it was exactly what you were talking about, where the rocket just like. This sucker, man.
This is the parachute unfurling.
They had. It's so sick.
Can I? Let's go back again.
You like the 30% speed version?
Oh, do they?
That's what's going on. It's
yeah, they have it on the right side. Sorry, yeah. Just, you know what's crazy is how normal this all looks. It almost looks banal. Do you know what I mean?
That's what got me when it was like going down the ground. I was like, oh, well, that looks like a rocket heading for some dirt.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the heat shield.
That's so cool.
See ya, bro. And yeah, it's just like we're landing in the desert now.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, I'd have all these books about the planets and the moons of the planets, and they'd all be like artistic renderings, like paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd be color enhanced photos, right? Like everything we see of Jupiter or whatever is just like completely color enhanced and it's not real. But this is fucking Mars and this is real, right? I don't think this has been gussied up too much, right?
No, and I feel like this is quite possibly like the best video I've ever seen. Like I haven't seen a moon video that looks this good.
Yeah.
Like all our moon landing shit is like cameras from the 60s. This thing looks crisp.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, look at that. That's Mars. That's so cool.
And then at some point it becomes Jetpack Mode. Right here, right? We're Jetpack Mode already.
It's getting close. No, you can tell because the ground starts like going wild.
Yeah. Getting closer.
Man, that's so.
And you can just see the jets.
But
it's crazy,
it's
right?
Still like at this point, I remember the audio being like, it's still 30 meters off the ground. That's the video it's recording.
Yeah.
Like those are some high-powered jets.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah.
In the corner down here. this little guy here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How how did they get the video feed for that?
How do they get
Is
the?
that coming through one of the cables here, do you think? Must be, right?
But I mean, the video keeps going post release. I
Does it?
Yeah.
The upward one does. The downward one of this guy is got to be up here, right? The camera's got to be up,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, let's see in a second. Oh, I see. Yeah, right.
and they disconnected right there, and it just flies off and then goes and
Okay, yeah.
crashes into the
So
Martian.
you're totally right. There must have been like a data cable from lander down to rover because the rover is the transmitter. I buy that.
Or the recorder, really, right? They probably
Yeah, how much of this do you think they got live? I wonder.
uh
How long does it take to get a message to Mars? It's like an hour. It's Mars
Mars
speed of light.
perseverance bandwidth. Bandwidth more than I'm worried about the latency. Um, Communications.
Oh, that's great. Does it have 5G? Oh wow, that's actually pretty fast.
It has 4M, 2 megabits per second on the rover to orbiter relay link. Wait, there's an orbiter?
Apparently. Huh.
Wait,
Okay,
what?
so the rover only has to beam it up to the
There's no orbiter.
well,
Oh, you know what? It's to one of the other satellites that we have flying around
that
Mars
we've
because they were already there. They're like, hey, dude,
that's
what's up?
cool. So like
Dang, son.
fuck Elon Musk, but going to Mars is pretty rad.
Going to Mars is amazing.
Yeah.
I've been geeking out about space recently. Have you you know of the Apollo program, yes?
Oh yes.
And have you like watched what they do to get the lunar module onto the lunar orbiter?
No? Is it what yeah.
Apollo spacecraft.
It is wild to me by the way that this thing works at all.
Oh, this guy's amazing. Oh no, wait, not this.
Not
Well,
this guy.
this guy might be amazing, but he's advertising to me. But
We can't-
the
we
guy who
can't
makes
have-
these videos is incredible.
Can't have
So-
clean energy because it'll go out in the case of a freeze. That's what Texas
Yeah.
taught us.
Okay, so here you have your Saturn V rocket, largest rocket ever made.
Yep.
Right. Yes, Cape Canaveral, we get it, Florida. Um,
Looks good so far.
the only thing that's going to survive this flight is the tiny tippy top of the whole rocket.
Yep.
Multiple stages. Yeah, we get it.
Jeff, you played Kerbal Space Program.
I have not played Kerbal.
It really seems like up your alley.
My brother-in-law plays it. With
Because I was
his
gonna
son.
say you basically do this top to bottom, including the staging and the compartments, and like you just have to build the rocket yourself.
Interesting. I might get frustrated. I like my physics are poor, right? I can barely simulate a spring.
It's very frustrating because it is too accurate.
So
Like,
this is the only piece that survives. This little even this little tower here. Apparently, it's like a little guidance rocket. So in case they have to turn around immediately, um,
oh, interesting. So the
guess it can
tower
help.
is not nothing. It's just like we don't want you to hit the cone first.
no, it actually has little booster jets on this,
Oh.
and I think they can use this to at least dampen to like decelerate the fall of this thing.
Gotcha.
Okay, but the crazy shit is while they're flying. Okay, they ditch basically
Ditch everything.
all of the
yeah.
rocket, right? They keep going. Um,
It always freaks me out that they start
Oh,
to go
wait.
sideways as this happens too, because like I'm like you're going back to the ground, but actually you're like
where's part two? Oh, this is part two. This is the crazy shit.
okay.
Okay. By the way, isn't this animation incredible? This is
guy-
just like some dude on YouTube.
This dude did a good job.
He's
Yeah.
just good at Blender, you know?
He's good at Blender. He's good at Kerbal. This guy probably plays a lot of Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, this guy's a dweeb.
Hey man, I landed on the moon in that game once, and it was quite possibly the coolest thing I've ever done in a video game.
Nice. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay, this
I gotta go back. Okay, I gotta go back. So, this is the piece that actually makes it to the moon, and it's not attached to the lander yet, and so it turns around as it's hurtling towards the moon,
What?
and then reconnects Because the guys have to go from the little conical section into the lander, right? They actually have to like physically move
But
over to the little porthole.
but so we couldn't build it the right way up. They had to.
Well, no, I don't think they could have
No, yeah,
because
totally.
the rocket can't fly with this thing facing the wrong way. You'd have a bunch of empty space here, right? So they
Ah,
so they decided that the best way to do this was to like turn it around mid-flight and reconnect.
this is some real programming solutions, and I love it.
Yeah, and now what's actually moving them is the lander. The lander has a little jet, right? And it has to
What?
spin, right? Because the sun is on one side of this thing.
Oh,
The sun,
if it doesn't spin, it'll roast.
it'll just get
Oh,
cooked. Yeah. Okay. So
God, it's wild to me that they have to plan this to intersect the moon orbit too.
there's so many things that have to go right,
Fucking rocket science.
right? So as they achieve orbit,
Uh-huh.
they let this little lander guy go. They're
Mhm.
like, okay, it's time, son, to go off into the world.
Oh, right, because the lander's still on the moon.
The lander base
Yeah.
section is still on the moon. Yeah, so they detach it, right? And
Man.
this guy's still gonna orbit, like the guy on the left is still gonna be orbiting,
Mhm.
right? Because they have to fly back to the Earth.
You gotta
You know?
pick them up, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that the
Um,
pinnacle of our space, like, the pinnacle of our sci-fi is this 60s technology. Damn.
it's insane, right?
Yeah.
So this lands on the moon. They're like, cool, cool. We land on the moon. They drive the little car around, they do
Mhm.
their shit. And then like they fucking take off from that. This might be like out of everything, this might be the craziest part, right? Is that they had to like build another rocket on top on this little lander pod that separates from the legs and then inter it like and then like magically I don't even know like how much fuel do you think is in this thing?
Now, I think
Almost
the,
none.
the lander, right, because the lander must be pretty easy because you get to do everything but, like, with no air resistance and, like, a fourth of the gravity, right?
Yeah.
So like, it looks flimsy. It looks really flimsy, the whole thing. And I guess it's like, they're like, we don't actually need to hit the ground that soft. Like, a little thruster kind of takes care of that for us.
This little thruster has enough for them to
Get back into orbit?
get back into orbit with that other thing, and they like magically synchronize and reconnect. The whole like
I don't know about.
coming back from the moon surface is the craziest part about this to me.
Well, I mean, it's what I'm hearing is that you believe the moon landing actually happened. Common misconception.
I
know.
want to believe, Dom. I want to believe.
I would, you know what? Honestly, I want to believe that someone had the wherewithal to fake all this shit, but like that seems less probable.
So if we're gonna talk conspiracy theories, there was a time
Yeah,
I didn't actually think that the moon landing was fake, but I did feel like the geopolitical incentive to fake the moon landing
oh, was right
probably
there.
very, very high, right? Very, very high.
Absolutely.
And if it was easier to fake it than to actually go,
Mhm.
wouldn't she be like very tempted to fake it, right?
I mean, maybe, yeah, I could see it.
I guess there's also risk. There's the cost there, but
I'm gonna title this video "Was the moon landing faked?" and all our YouTube recommendations are gonna go just out the window. The sidebar for this video is gonna be trash when I post it. Sorry, not sorry.
okay, let's just do it. Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like the same geopolitical sort of like drive is also the reason we never went back because no one gave a shit once someone made it. They were like, okay, cool, that was expensive. Sorry,
Yeah.
back to
So
building nukes.
have I got a recommendation for you? I actually don't know if it's a recommendation yet, but I watched the first episode of the show called For All Mankind.
Oh, I've heard that's pretty good actually.
Yeah, it is. Showrunner is a guy named Ronald D. Moore, our friend from Battlestar Galactica and Deep Space Nine.
From Deep Space Nine,
Right.
baby. Oh yeah.
Apparently Outlander too. He took a break from like deep sci-fi, topical political drama to do like bodice ripping time travel.
Oh, that's funny. I heard Outlander was great as well.
Yeah,
I mean-
I've never seen it, but it's supposed to be good.
Apparently, I just like everything Ronald Moore does. Who knows?
Yeah. So the premise of For All Mankind is that the Soviets surprise
Ooh.
beat us to the moon by like 6 months.
Shit.
And that basically extends the space race and the technology behind it like indefinitely into the future.
Wait, isn't this
So
some Apple TV shit?
it is Apple TV. Yeah.
That's much higher quality than I thought from them.
Yeah.
That sounds way cooler and more subversive than I expected.
And all of this is happening at the same time. I think I was reading about. I was like kind of like just like looking up these videos about the Apollo spacecraft because I was inspired by the Mars landing. It's like space is cool, NASA is cool. We've done all this like crazy stuff, and then just randomly I read this article online because I guess the second season of For All Mankind just launched.
Oh, nice.
The timing is very good. I wonder if they were trying to be smart about that. They're like, oh, we're gonna land a Mars lander. People are gonna be thinking about space. So now I'm just like fully in like space nerd mode right now.
Okay, so I should watch this, is what you're telling me.
I've only watched the first episode.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
Does it... I'm hoping that it veers into, like... I really love alternative history fiction, so I hope it, like, sort of goes deeper into that. Because it's really fun to see, like, the one thing changed, so here's what we do now. And here's what happens, like, 40 years later. So I hope they capitalize on that.
They definitely capture that, like, Apollo 13 was a fun movie.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned in that film, but there's nothing quite as... I don't know if humanity has done anything that has, like, captured universal attention as much as, like, going to the moon. And I said earlier, like, if it was easier to fake the moon landing than to actually do it, you'd be very tempted to do it. I don't think you can do anything that's harder than going to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe dismantling capitalism. That's the next horizon, right? But
I wish our government would do that out of spite for the Russians. Like, maybe if we tell them,
Russians.
maybe if we tell them that they can't do it, they'll be like, "Nah, we got this."
Yeah, exactly. The Russians need to we'll beat you to just like hyper capitalism, which they are well on their way. The Russians, right?
That's true. They've taken the wrong approach.
And then we just run the opposite direction. Yeah.
Now, isn't the moon landing fucking easily verifiable because you can just point a telescope at the moon and see all the shit we left up there? Like, it's not that hard, right?
Is the moon lander visible? Here's a proof that we landed on the moon. Steph Curry, did he get into the whole like we didn't land on the moon?
Steph. I mean, dude, basketball players, for some reason, more so than other sports, love to have like strange political opinions.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving.
ESK 1404. The moon can be called both literally and figuratively the furthest mankind has gone. Yeah,
it's true.
It's super true.
It's true. Yeah. So apparently you can actually see.
Right. It's all just that we left a bunch of shit on the moon. It's like a really dumb conspiracy theory because I guess you could claim that we threw rocks at the moon and hit it and like left some. We're just like, if we like crash a satellite into there, people will believe it. But also, like, you can correlate it with the photographs.
So yeah, I mean, that's the depressing thing is that like
there's like a bunch of evidence.
We can prove it because we fucking cluttered the shit out of it, you know.
Like there's so little air that the astronaut tracks are still there. This is not that hard. How much faking must we do?
How many times did we land on the moon? It's like 3 or 4 times.
I thought we did Apollo 11. I want to say Apollo 11,
Apollo 12.
I want to
13
say
didn't. There was a 14.
I want to say 14 and 15 landed on the moon. Yeah, 11, 12, 14, 15 is my guess.
They must have just started to get really silly towards the end, right?
Oh, you just skipped all the Apollos. Let's see.
Okay. 1969, Apollo 13, Apollo 14, Apollo 15. There was Apollo 16, fifth crewed lunar landing.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Does it keep going?
Apollo 17, sixth and last. Last use of the lunar roving vehicle. Well,
So,
that kind of goes to show, right? Like I feel like this is an unnecessary addendum to that sentence. The orbiting command module included 5 mice.
oh, that's a little rude of us.
They were called Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, and Fooey. Did we leave them on the moon?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I
Animal
like
welfare in outer space, not a strong suit of
we
our country.
we killed a lot of monkeys in space.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so did the Russians, but like,
They killed dogs, the Russians did.
uh, is that
That's
better or worse?
that is
Neither.
that is the dark mark on the Russian space program.
Yeah, not a fan, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like drug trials where you gotta make sure you gotta try on something that's not a human at least once to make
Okay,
sure that like
yes.
space is not
You
poison.
must break eggs to make omelets.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't like immediately be like, well, we're just shooting dogs and rockets now. So like, I don't know, it's fine. Yeah.
Somehow all this rocket science stuff is beyond belief, and I guess that's why we have the expression "it's not rocket science."
It's not right because actual rocket
You
science
need something
is,
outlandish to compare the easy thing that you're doing to. Um, Apparently, I think early space explorers were worried that the surface of the moon was not actually solid enough to land on. Right? Could you land like a 1 ton plus object and just like not simply get absorbed like quicksand into the surface of the moon? And they figured out that it was solid by pointing a telescope at the moon. Like somebody figured out a method by which we can visually confirm that the surface of the moon is solid enough that we can land on it. That's rocket science. That's
pretty
motherfucking
weird.
rocket science right there,
well,
right?
and also like all the things we know about other galaxies and like other planets are like the observation of a shadow moving across a distant sun from a dot this big on a telescope that we're like watching the pixel color change, but they're like, oh yeah, 3 planets. I'm like, what? How?
Yeah, I can tell from these two massive objects an unfathomable distance away based on their relationship to each other and the way that their colors I put colors in quotes because it's a very wide spectrum
Colors.
that's outside the visual spectrum, but their wavelengths and stuff, the way that they change. I can infer from that we are not accounting for most of the mass in the universe. Like it's just ridiculous.
Oh,
Like
it's really weird. Yeah. Are you familiar with the what is it, like the deep telescope image? You know what I'm talking about?
the one that shows like deep space image,
The Hubble Deep Field. Yeah.
deep field image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have had a poster of this on my wall as a child.
Yeah, because it's fucking mind blowing.
Um,
I think all of them, like any of them, are like they picked a black part of space and pointed it there and just let the exposure run
okay.
and got that back, which are all galaxies.
And the dynamic range of this thing must be just insane, right?
I think it took them a while, but yeah. Yeah, the deep field image is, it kind of breaks my brain a little bit, to be honest.
Wait, and so how is it possible that this thing is this big? Right? How far away is this spiral galaxy?
Really, really far.
It's very far away,
Uh-huh.
right? And for it to still be that wide relative to this size of the proportions here, I don't really get. It's almost as if they like zoomed in on every single thing in this image and blew them all up.
Well, it might be because if you're taking a tiny chunk of the sky and going all the way in and doing this like this like extended exposure, you might get you get everything.
Right.
Everything that was black to a normal image before you expose it for however, if they did a month or something, this is what you end up with.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a paradox in astronomy, right? Which is to say that if the number of stars was finite and distributed throughout the space of the universe in such a way, why are we not burnt to a crisp right now? Right? Because the light doesn't degrade
Yeah,
that much over space, right? So why is it that why is the sky not uniformly blindingly white?
I feel like
even
I
at night,
have had
right?
that thought enter my brain, and I've been like, "Wow, man, that sounds really high." But also, like, right? Why isn't it? I don't get it.
Why isn't it? Yeah. Why isn't it at some point like every single yeah, it's basically like every single square inch above you should be covered by an infinite number of stars, and the light from those stars should be toasting you to a crisp, right?
There might be enough
We don't
light.
even have to smoke weed to have these
No, I know
conversations. This is
that's what I'm
fantastic, right?
saying. There might be enough light particulate in the vacuum. Like it's not nothingness. There might be enough over infinite space that in fact shit,
Oh, you're saying there's just like infinitesimal
there's infinite there's like
like
enough little shit.
dust.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which we know is there. Yeah.
right.
Oh.
To block, yeah, and basically, yeah, you're right. To basically block the rays of light that are coming towards us.
That's my guess.
Yeah. We'll be coming back to these topics if and when we add a ray tracer to Manchester. We're talking about light from an infinite distance.
Oh goodness.
Now, back to
turn on that multiplayer.
yeah, back to senior, yes, senior year of high school with our spring physics. Yes, let us get multiplayer underway, shall we?
And Grok, of course.
Which ngrok? Is it installed? Did it work? Okay, ngrok, help me, ngrok. Well, I need to log in. Cannot what malware?
It's no. Open up system preferences and go to the security settings. I think it might give you the option under security. It's behind the menu. It's really dumb.
Thanks.
Yeah, the allow anyway button is like
Allow anyway.
the last binary permission.
I just wanted to read the help. I'm gonna open it. Oh, I need to log in, don't I?
Yeah, or auth token, which you can grab off the website. Here, I'll switch to the Talking Heads view while you go to the Android website.
I think do I have?
I'm just gonna keep our token off the street because we pay for that.
It is true. Ngork.
And Gork.
I have an auth token.
Sorry, Twitch. You can't have our Ngrok auth token today.
Yes. So I type ngrok auth token and then paste the auth token.
I think so, yeah.
They need more than this. They need to have an interactive.
Oh, they should, yeah.
Because having my auth token in the bash history is not good. It's not good, I tell you.
It's not good. I guess it's kind of like, who cares? Because it's Ngrok. But
Yeah.
like, I care.
I care.
Yeah.
ngrok, HTTP, subdomain, port.
You got it off the screen. Great. Let's go back to program.
Subdomain equals Jeff and Dom.
Yep, I think we have that.
And what is our port again? Why can't I remember?
3000.
3000.
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Oh, it's in the browser.
It's in the browser.
So let me restart the game. Oh, I need to actually set the number of people.
Yeah, I'm connected to this
Server
multiplayer.
sim, server main.
I feel like maybe we should have like we should set up like a constants file that we control a bunch of this shit in.
I agree.
Ooh, hello.
It is slow.
What the fuck just happened? This is terrible.
It's waiting for. I have a bunch of waiting for server. Do you have that as well?
I don't, but this is very slow. Oh, my update FPS is 20. Yours is 60. Could this be my fault?
Are you in San Francisco with a?
Yeah. I know I'm on my fiber. I'm on my MacBook Air in Safari on an M1.
Interesting. Okay.
Let me quit some software, I guess. All right, I'm coming back in.
Okay. I'm gonna restart as well.
Cool.
Oh, now it's waiting for server. Did it die?
Huh.
This is good. This is. It's got 2 connected players. If I reload, I'm gonna restart the server. Okay, that's a little better.
That's a little better. I'm also seeing a flashing waiting for server now.
Okay, so we need there's some stuff, and basically when you dash, you just jump. I just see you jump.
Ah, you don't see me animate. Oh, interesting, because my position is actually like by the time you hear about it, I've already done it. Fascinating.
Yeah, the dash is fast enough that the lag.
Oh, interesting, interesting, interesting. Yep. Yeah, I see the same thing for you. What's really interesting too is that oh, hey, turn off debug draw.
It's off.
Okay. That's like slightly better for me, to be honest.
Yeah, debug draw is the most expensive thing right now. It's
Yeah.
not very efficient. We can make the grid faster.
We can make the grid faster. Also, our camera motion just introduced a bunch of Vec3 creates per frame.
It's not that many though, right?
It's a couple, but yeah,
it's a couple per. But are we GCing because of that? I don't know.
Mhm.
I would really like to rewrite this in Rust or some language that doesn't make me feel bad every time I create a vector. Because we're gonna create a lot of fucking vectors.
We're gonna create a lot of vectors. Yeah,
Yeah.
that does seem to be truthful.
Um,
I know you're in those trees. Get out of there. Oh, you're not in the trees. Shit.
are you shooting at me?
I was trying to.
Is that what's happening?
It's hard.
I can't really dash very well.
Yeah,
I think it's because
the dash is weird. It feels like it's actually got more of a lag than intended. Wonder why. I'm curious. Confused that our
well-
update.
well, our dash only lasts 6 frames, right? We actually have that as a constant, and there's probably more than 6 frames of delay between our computers right now. Right?
Yeah. I will say one thing that feels a little funny in this is that the camera motion gives the trees for me sort of a bouncy quality.
They flicker for me.
A moire effect maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a flicker because of the way it's like sort of seemingly moving in a inconsistent way frame to frame.
That is interesting. I wonder how to deal with it. I'm zooming in and out to see if
Oh yeah, let's get this zoom on. It's also really weird that like my update FPS still thinks it's 60, and the server FPS still thinks it's 100 and something. Like
it.
do you want to turn
I
up
think the FPS is still, it is, but we're doing net pause because we're waiting for each other.
Yeah, do you want to turn up the buffer?
Okay. Which buffer?
The
The
client
client
buffer size.
size.
Yeah, give us. Sure. Yeah, let's see if that's any better.
Oh, you know what we're also doing is we're hot reloading, so that's gotta not help.
Oh, because are we pinging it every second?
Should we turn off hot reloading?
Yeah, let's turn off hot reload. I forgot about that one.
A client main.
Absolutely.
It'll also get us banned from ngrok pretty soon, right?
I think since we pay for it, no. Yeah, I mean, nothing changed.
Nothing changed. Yeah, it's not the hot reload. There's, yeah.
Interesting.
I've been thinking more and more, I mean, especially because of this dodge thing, that the deterministic thing that we're doing right now can't.
Yeah,
I think it needs to go out the window. I think we need to be syncing server state.
That seems pretty reasonable to me. Yeah.
But that means we need to do copies. We need to do all the stuff that we avoided because it was hard to do in JavaScript.
Yep. I mean, we could go for Rust.
So I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie to you. This weekend I didn't work on the game at all because I was writing some Rust code, and one of the things I wanted to do was to try to start writing a piece of the game in Rust.
Nice.
However, the WebAssembly toolchain for Rust is not very M1 friendly yet.
Ah, crud.
That is kind of cruddy. This is my only computer right now. No, I actually have another computer. I could actually.
Do you
use
still have
the
that other computer? Yeah.
I do. It's sitting in a drawer. I need to donate it or I need to sell it to somebody. Yes, Kay, do you want a 2017 Touch Bar Mac for a low price? I feel bad selling a 2017 Touch Bar Mac because
Because it's the worst Mac.
it's a fine computer, but it is the worst Mac, and it's like I could probably get it for like $600 online, right?
I think that's about right. Yeah.
But if someone just spent like a few $100 more, they could get an M1, and why wouldn't you just do that?
I had a
Right?
friend on Facebook today being like, my 2012 Mac is dying. I need a new one, and everyone was like, oh yeah, buy a refurbished like 2015, and I was like, for the love of God, just get an M1.
Yeah.
Don't buy any old shit right now.
I gotta say, this is pretty fun. Just driving around.
It
A
is.
little bit of lag on a lot of lag.
There we go. Gotcha.
I wasn't trying to dodge anymore. I was tired of running.
It was actually really interesting because a lot of my shots, I could tell you were close to death because many of my shots would make you disappear and then you'd pop back in because my prediction was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So our multiplayer needs some help.
I think I love the world where we don't have to replay the simulation frame for frame. Like I think abandoning determinism and just sinking state occasionally will do us well.
Okay.
You said that like I was crazy. Wait, did I say the wrong thing?
No, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to be disparaging
No.
with my tone. I was just thinking about the challenges that await us.
Yeah, we got some.
I haven't been able to get a good mental model of how multiplayer works if you don't deterministically simulate. But I have long been thinking that our game is too action oriented to simulate everything. Just given how slow the game is right now and the amount of optimization that needs to be there, we have no game right now. I mean, we have a game, but we don't really have a game. Do you know what I mean? There's
Yep.
not a lot going on.
Absolutely.
And all of the real juice, all the kind of like simulation that we want to do, the pathfinding, all that stuff, we're going to have to rerun that like 3 or 4
lot.
times a frame because of the determinism thing. Right.
Yeah, it seems pretty silly.
Yeah. I will say though that the thing that we're encountering right now, I think, is an artifact of net pause, and our FPS indicators not accounting for that.
Yep. I am really happy to see actually our FPS indicator and our server simulation seemingly running like fine.
Yep.
We do seem to have sort of walked past the performance problems from before.
So I think we actually just have a weird synchronization problem right now. It's not.
Yeah, hit reload again. I switched to Chrome. I'm curious. I'm honestly just curious if Safari is being Safari.
Okay. I'm waiting for the server.
Oh, so am I.
That's weird.
What's the command?
Command Shift R.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, I'm player 2 now.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, exact same problem.
Yeah, I would say this is like a little bit faster, but
I would also say that. So I can blame Safari only a little bit.
I do get a moire effect from the trees in particular. I don't see it on the tank. I do see it for the targeting cube.
The targeting cube is really interesting to me. Yeah, like that thing is just flickering in and out in the strangest way.
I wonder why that's the case. It almost seems like it's related to net pause, right?
And it like shouldn't be. I guess the game is, when it says waiting for server, the game is stopping and the mouse is like no longer an input.
But the render should still be there, right? It should just like...
I mean, maybe, but are we doing that based on mouse pause to send the turret direction over the wire? So like
That's a good
when we
question.
stop the frame, that thing actually there's no mouse pause to render essentially.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That'd be my guess for why it's flickering, which is annoying.
Yeah, the trees have the kind of moire pattern. I wonder if that's usually has to deal with just slight imperfections in the pixel math. It's like they're not aligning consistently to the pixel grid, or they're oscillating.
Zoom is smoothing that the heck out, by the way.
Oh yeah, is it? You can't see it on
I can
Zoom.
I can see it on mine very clearly, but Zoom isn't doing it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
flickering
Zoom
cube
is just
very
uniformly
obvious.
garbage. I think that's what it is.
Well, it just can't handle how high def this experience is.
What's your tick MS right now?
My
My
tick
tick MS is like barely 1.
1.5.
Okay.
Pretty low though.
1.5 is really fast, right?
Yeah. That's the tick with all the resimulation, right?
It's tick with resimulation. It does not include rendering.
Okay, that's fine.
And rendering is slow, right? Trying to turn off debug draw. This doesn't get any smoother with debug draw turned off. Not visibly.
Not in that. I'm trying to think, is there any
It does
other...
clean up the tree moire pattern though for me.
Oh, not for me.
No, okay.
What is we have our like frames ahead of server server where is the value where we like tell the clients to pause? Because are either of us ahead of each other, or are we just ahead of the server because we're fast?
It's a good that actually might be the case.
Right.
Yeah, and so basically, there's some buffer value that's not correct. I think that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look really quick in the 7 minutes that we have remaining.
Okay.
Now that we're just curious, right?
The value you're looking for is max predicted frames. This one's in a constants file. That's really helpful. They're all going to go in a constants file soon.
Okay. Let's see here. This is the server update I'm looking at right now. And the server says, give me all of the messages I've received from the client. And if the most recent message I've gotten from the client is less than the simulation frame that I'm currently on, I'm just not going to proceed. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So basically, I'm going to go through all of the client's messages that I've received. If they're not ahead of me, I'm not going to simulate. So I'm just done.
Yep.
Okay. And that makes sense, right? That's basically the server just refusing to do anything unless it's got
something
information for the frame. And this is actually a departure from what we did before, because before we would just leave a client behind. We'd just be like, sorry, like there's a maximum number of frames that you can be delayed. And if you're beyond that, too bad, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think eventually we're going to have to start doing some statistics here and to figure out like when we actually have a desync, which is basically like when a client is like pathologically, the latency is just pathological to the point that we should just like terminate the game, right? Mm-hmm. That's a desync. Or we do something, we kick them out and we let the game to continue to run, right?
Yeah. So when you changed the value in server main for the buffer that the server would allow, you changed that to 20, I think.
I changed.
And that was right next to player count. Server main?
Server main, yeah. I don't know if I changed anything that mattered.
I was gonna say you changed half of what mattered. So client buffer size, I'm not really sure what that's like how far we let it go. In constants, max predicted frames is how far the client will let itself get ahead of the server. So those numbers need to be in sync. Because the client was still only letting us get 7 frames ahead of the server, and that's still the case.
And what's the value of...
Max predicted frames is also 7.
Where is that? Is that client?
Constants.ts.
Oh my god. Okay. So
yeah, if we try them both at 20, I'm curious if we'll be in a...
Okay.
Oh, it's fucking
very
dope.
Smooth.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, I still get waiting for server from time to time.
I
think it's because I'm faster than you. Right?
I am also getting it. I'm getting like a pop of it.
Wait, are you streaming from your Mac?
No.
Your PC?
Yeah.
Okay, but you're playing on your Mac?
Yeah. It's M1. It's super fast. You want me to play on the PC?
Oh, no. You know what it is? It's just like it didn't add up to me that you could play on your PC because we don't have to see your PC.
Here's the game. Whoop.
Okay, but this is like way smoother, right?
It's much, much smoother, yeah.
Where are you?
Oh, sorry, here, I'll come up to you.
And then do a dash. Yeah, we're not going to see the dash at all, right?
That's its own problem, but
And I actually just drive normally.
okay.
You're not stopping and popping. You're a
No,
little jittery.
it's sort of stopped doing that actually.
Yeah.
I feel like the server has reached a harmonious equilibrium with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you still seeing a waiting for server pop?
No.
Okay, great. Yeah, neither am I, so that's interesting.
You are jittery, but that's because
You're
we're not doing peer prediction.
Oh, and there's some pops. Is it because we got near the turrets?
Yeah, we're actually getting CPU delay, right? My tick MS is a lot higher than before. It's like 7
yeah.
right now.
Mine as well. We are doing 20 frames of prediction instead of
It's
7.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is I assume why we pick 7.
Is to keep that number low.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, sorry.
7 was the number that I got from the Mortal Kombat video, guys.
Seems reasonable.
And I believe he killed me.
I think I'm dead.
Yeah.
Or the turrets got us. One of us is dead.
Yeah. The turrets, they finally got us.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm at least happy to sort of see that the game still works correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, one of us must have more latency. I wonder.
Multiplayer's hard. We spent 4 months on it, and we're already thinking about going back to the drawing board, which is fine. That's development.
As
That's
I say,
software.
understatement of the century. Multiplayer is hard. It's hard, but it's really cool that it still works actually. So whatever.
Wouldn't you love to work on this full time?
Yeah, dude. I like making this game.
Yeah.
That
right.
sure would be a delight. So
Okay. We are at roughly 9.
yeah, we made a rubber bandy camera. It's pretty good.
I think we did make a rubber banding camera, which is pretty nice.
What was the thing we were gonna do? We started off saying something totally different.
I think we wanted to do multiplayer and make a rubber bandy camera, right?
Oh yeah, maybe it was just we were gonna try the dash.
We just wanted to
multiplayer.
see what the dash felt like.
We did it. Sweet.
Yeah.
Job well done.
Yes.
All right. Well, sweet.
Still thinking about Rust.
Yeah, we're gonna have to rewrite this thing at some point. If we can get a good WebAssembly going, that'd be really sick. I'm also pretty willing to like target. I don't know. Can we target OpenGL and like compile it to computers? Target Metal or Vulkan or something. Let's not do Vulkan. I'll hate the whole thing.
Oh, are you saying like you'd be willing to do this not in the browser?
Yeah, like let's just build a desktop binary. If we can figure out especially how to make it one that we can build for Mac, Windows, and Linux, I won't feel so bad cutting off the browser.
Yeah. I think the browser is just there for ease of development. It really is so much easier than running a desktop app.
I know. I mean, except that like it also feels like it introduces as many hindrances as aids. I'm just
true.
I'm just
Okay,
nudging the
sky's
calculus.
limit, man.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, let's do it.
No, I just wanted us to make sure the calculus still makes sense because if it does, the browser has been really easy.
Yeah, I feel like it should be possible just because we're not.
There are other multiplayer, like what does Agar.io do? There's plenty of multiplayer browser games that are like.
What was that again?
Agar.io. Have you played this game?
I think you actually told me about it before. Is it AGGR?
AGAR.
Oh, like agar,
like
the
agar, yeah.
Yeah, the seaweed.
Exactly. Yeah,
extract.
just hit play. Right in the middle of all
Where
the
is
ads.
play? Oh, I see.
Yeah. There you go.
And what am I doing here?
You're trying to eat the
Oh,
dots.
it's following the cursor. I see.
Yeah, you're trying to eat the dots. Turns out there are like 63 other people in this room with you, also trying to eat the dots or eat you.
Yeah. Now this is laggy as hell.
Fair.
Let me turn off Manchester here.
I mean, I was gonna say this game is not. I do not consider it super performant.
No.
It is like a super popular multiplayer browser game that like
It is a fair amount of state, though.
there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and that needs to be synchronized.
Hmm.
I do almost feel like it's waiting for. There's no client prediction at all. It's like waiting for the server to tell me where I'm actually heading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be possible.
Yeah. How is this guy going faster than me?
Uh,
Not right.
Oop. The smaller you are, the faster you go.
I see.
The bigger you are, the more you slow down, and that's sort of like the one even mechanic there is.
Am I getting bigger at all?
You're getting a little bigger, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like you could totally eat Shaquille O'Neal, I bet, but he's about to get eaten by those two green blobs. Yeah, if you run into him, one of y'all will absorb the other one.
You know, I was about to say I'm having a good time, but then I actually wasn't. So
I'm just saying, like, I feel like browsers with many players simulating.
we don't need that many players. I
Right,
want like
exactly.
4 players.
I think our life
No,
is
we should do
simpler than
8.
this.
We should aim for 8.
Yeah.
That was what original Bolo had, right?
I'll be happy with 4.
I'm gonna commit suicide.
Do it. You made that guy's day.
Yeah. I think if we could do 4, it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, they can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I'll open up their WebSocket console and see what's going on in here.
I think we can freaking make this game in the browser. I think
Yeah.
it can happen.
Oh yeah. I don't want to shut that down. I think it's still
Yeah.
possible.
We're not even doing that much right now. There's probably a lot of optimization that we want to do.
I bet so. I bet simulation is actually maybe one of the if we can avoid all the resimulation somehow.
The interesting thing about our code, I think,
Mhm.
is that we rely so much on dependency injection, like in our systems.
Mhm.
This may be like a famous last words, but we feed the system, we feed our business logic the state that it needs to work on. So I actually think that we might be able to get around the hard parts of writing Rust. Rust gets really hard when you try to do object-oriented programming and you have a bunch of objects that point at each other and try to like modify each other.
This is great. This is already functional programming. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that at all.
Yeah, we have almost no objects. It's great. Yeah, okay.
So I just need to get WebAssembly to compile on M1 Mac.
That's such a bummer.
If the tool chain will at least build.
And it won't build under Rosetta. That's what's weird.
That's what right. Like could I find a binary that's for Rosetta and then run it?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Intel binary and you're good to go if it exists, which it must.
Yeah, because it's not actually doing hard stuff. Ultimately, it's just making text, right? That's the output of a WebAssembly thing. It's just making text.
Yeah, just give us some GPU commands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy Monday. We made it.
Yeah. What video games are you playing, real quick?
Oh man, I'm still in the Yakuza 0.
I'm in Kiwami too.
Are you Kiwami?
No, sorry, Kiwami as well. Sorry, I'm in Yakuza.
Yakuza Kiwami as well.
Remastered. Yes.
Yeah, I'm deep into it. I love the back and forth Kiryu Goro story.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I just got to the point where like
I think Majima's got the far better story in Yakuza 0.
Kiryu's story in this game is shockingly just like he's like, well, I'm a real estate broker. Guess I'm gonna go buy some property. He's basically House Hunters, like Kamurocho edition.
Yeah, it is hilarious how many times you get to fight that one mafia boss. What's his name? Kuzu. Yeah, it's hilarious how many times you have to fight him.
Yeah, I'm up to 3 now. I assume there's more coming because every time you just like defeat him in a new and embarrassing way. This time he got ran over by a car. It was great.
Yes, yeah.
Super great. I am really stoked to get to like Judgment or Yakuza 7 at some point because they both look super awesome as well.
Yeah, I think they made Judgment and they're like, we can't make Kamurocho any better than this. So you should be stoked for that.
Fair.
Judgment's great. It's really fun.
I'm ready when the new
The
version.
English dub is incredible too. Not, I mean, the Japanese dub is fun in the sense that like I don't understand Japanese, and I'm sure it's good, but
Yeah, it's I feel I don't know. I feel like the characters have their real voices in Japanese. The English dub would be such an interesting experience, though I would have to do less reading, which would be more immersive. Yeah, I'm gonna try it since it
so
hasn't.
the thing I'll just put down is that in Judgment you don't have any preconceived notions of what these characters should sound like.
I
So if you
think that's
start
why
with
I could do it. Yeah, yeah, and also like it's like the most cinematic one yet, right? Like it's definitely more
very
movie.
much so.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all very very cinematic, but Judgment it really leans hard into like the noir.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. But yeah, I'm gonna go edit a video and then play some Zero.
Oh, nice.
for
I gotta
sure.
edit one too.
Yeah, yeah, we're both a week behind.
We promised each other we'd also do Blender tanks this week, so we'll see what happens.
I would like, yeah. That's been noodling around in my head, and I found actually I bookmarked a couple YouTube tutorials for low poly modeling in Blender.
Oh, that's perfect. Because I basically want to know how to do stuff like I need to make this symmetric. I need to make these two things surfaces flush.
Exactly.
And I actually don't need to make a donut. Like the donut tutorial is excellent and it's fun, but it's also like completely irrelevant to my needs.
Yeah, here I'll send you the one that I intend to watch.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, learn low poly modeling in Blender. And this guy
.com.
.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if this guy is actually fun to watch. I cannot vouch for this content yet, but
Right.
yeah. All right, sweet dude.
Okay.
Yeah, have a good Monday evening. See you at Twitch. Thanks for hanging out.
See you, everyone.